Elon and the 2024 election. Why they don't want him in power. As we approach the November 2024 US presidential election, we are still unsure as to how it will unfold. Joe Biden's approval ratings are in the dumps and Trump is mired in lawsuits and accusations left and right, hobbling his campaign. Meanwhile, third-party candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. is making unprecedented headway, and then we have Elon. In recent years, Elon has increasingly voiced his political opinions and veered away from his Democratic-leaning views towards the right. Elon's political views and his actions with X, Tesla and SpaceX have become increasingly important in a polarized society and one where censorship has become rampant. What is Musk up to and how will he use his massive influence in the coming election? Will Trump return to Twitter? Will Musk have more than a passive involvement in President Trump's campaign? Keep watching to the end to find out. The fate of America hangs in the balance. The health crisis. Musk was very vocal during the health crisis of 2020 that he thought the government response to it was a joke and not founded on logic or sound thinking. Here is one of his most notable tweets. This resulted in him moving the headquarters and operations center of Tesla and SpaceX to Texas, and several confrontations between him and government officials such as the officials in Alameda County in San Francisco. He was again branded as a spreader of misinformation by the press and maligned in any way possible, with countless hit pieces attacking him for voicing his opinion. He also sided with the Canadian trucker convoy and called out the censorship relating to the health crisis on social media as dangerous and an attack on freedom. This was a very dark time in recent history, particularly in America, as it looked like totalitarianism had fully taken hold of the free world. But a few brave souls such as Elon were willing to fight back. This further cemented his foray into politics and him leaning away from left-wing narratives. It may have also led to his decision to purchase a certain social media platform, but we'll get to that in a minute. Does this new outspokenness mean he's teasing a run for office himself or simply trying to grab attention and accumulate influence? Or is he just doing what he can to stop outside forces from destroying freedom in America and the rest of the world? His companies, after all, are greatly influential, but who is he trying to influence? And who is trying to influence him? Buying Twitter. Elon stepped into the middle of a firestorm of controversy and became public enemy number one of the mainstream media when he decided to make efforts to purchase Twitter, with accusations being thrown at him for being a despot, a quote-unquote spreader of misinformation, purveyor of toxic masculinity and many other unfounded defamations. The hit pieces were endless. Maybe it had something to do with releasing the Twitter files and revealing the Biden administration was dictating censorship policy at Twitter behind closed doors, violating the First Amendment among many other things. This act alone made him a champion on the right and framed him as the last savior of free speech, while the left villainized him as a right-wing conspiracy nut, a racist and a supporter of Donald Trump. He reinstated President Trump's account in the name of free speech, but the 45th president seemed hesitant to come back on, preferring to utilize his own platform Truth Social to communicate with his followers. Musk has also been ridiculed for his business acumen in buying Twitter, with pundits overlooking the fact that the valuation for SpaceX alone is somewhere north of $180 billion, while the valuation of Tesla is approximately $520 billion. Suddenly the purchase price of $44 billion seems tiny in comparison. Why did he purchase this social media platform? Was he trying to call out government actions he didn't agree with, or did he have other motives? Or maybe he wanted the biggest loudspeaker for himself to control the narratives around himself and his companies. SpaceX's influence on government. Despite Musk's supposed independence, it's important to realize that one of his greatest assets is his control of SpaceX, a private company with an estimated valuation of over $180 billion. What many don't realize is that SpaceX is one of the largest government military contractors in the world, placing Musk under the influence of the government military-industrial complex. Once you reach Musk's level, your bread is buttered by the biggest client in the world, the government. Tesla also benefits greatly from government subsidies such as carbon credits and also tax policies. Things get sticky when SpaceX's satellites can affect the outcomes of military conflicts, as such was the case in hot zones like Ukraine and Gaza. Musk opted to not share SpaceX data and provide Starlink access to military operations, only choosing to help humanitarian operations, much to the ire of the Biden administration. He was accused of being a supporter of Putin and also was pressured to visit Israel and meet with President Netanyahu as well. It was also recently reported that SpaceX is developing spy satellites for the US government as part of a $1.6 billion contract. It's clear that Musk's biggest client and benefactor is the government, and by intertwining his business with them, he not only comes under their influence but also exerts influence over them due to their dependence on him. After all, the amount of influence that Musk wields is larger than many countries. Twitter Spaces with DeSantis. Right after the acquisition of Twitter during the early Republican primary season, Musk tried to grab relevance by hosting a Twitter Spaces with his good friend and all-in podcast bestie David Sachs, where they invited Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to announce his presidential primary run. The Spaces was a bit underwhelming, and DeSantis proved to be a lot less charismatic than the eventual victor and current Republican nominee Donald Trump. There were also some technical difficulties, making the experience less than stellar and anticlimactic. Despite this, it's important to recognize DeSantis was instrumental during the health crisis in protecting freedom and turning Florida into one of the most prosperous and fast-growing states in the nation due to his policies. Musk also might have been inviting DeSantis over Trump because he wants to highlight his centrism and impartiality, while distancing himself from the MAGA label that has been attributed to him by the media after the acquisition of X. Even with Musk's help, DeSantis' campaign floundered and he proved to not be presidential material or a match for former President Trump, the much more dynamic candidate. If you're finding this video entertaining and insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Meeting with Trump. The recent meeting that has been long hyped up between these two billionaires and lightning rods for controversy has finally occurred. But what was discussed between the world's richest man and the world's most influential politician? We all know the positive things President Trump has said about Elon, such as he does good at rockets. Trump also praised him as one of our geniuses, like Thomas Edison, and that he should be protected, and said that he helped Musk, so Musk should help him. Trump and Elon have met a few times, most notably after Trump was sworn into office and Musk joined his Economic Advisory Council with Peter Thiel. Despite this, the two titans have a complicated relationship. Musk has publicly stated several times that he does not think Trump is good for America and that he prefers a more centrist candidate, for example someone like Ron DeSantis. Musk and Trump have managed to still keep the lines of communication open over the past few years, and it's become obvious that Musk has distanced himself further and further away from the Democratic Party, particularly the Biden administration. But as the 2024 election nears, it's become obvious Elon has placed himself right in the middle of the political process, especially after his purchase of Twitter, now known as X. Buying the platform allowed him to reinstate Trump and several conservative figures' accounts and keep a channel open for conservative discourse, which had previously been completely shut down, especially after the health crisis of 2020. Now on to that recent meeting. The two met at a breakfast in Florida that was attended by many Republican donors and hosted by one of Musk's friends. Musk stated in an interview that the meeting was not planned and that Trump did not ask for campaign donations or help with his legal fees. Trump, meanwhile, told CNBC that he unexpectedly ran into Musk and that the two had been friendly with each other over the years and that Silicon Valley is supporting him because he supports American businesses. Tucker Carlson on X. Everyone remembers the firestorm after Tucker Carlson, the media world's most popular news figure, was unexpectedly fired from Fox News. A firing like this raised many questions as to the motivations of mainstream media, when it became obvious they were not simply making decisions from a purely profit and business perspective and had to answer to a higher authority. But why was Tucker fired? For his stance on the health crisis, his stance on the Ukraine war, his stance on the validity of the election? Despite all this confusion, he was able to land on his feet when Elon Musk, who had recently purchased Twitter, gave him a new home. The numbers on X have been astounding, and it's obvious Tucker's reach has increased even more, and it seems like he is now free to fully operate without restriction. The number of hits on his show on X are astronomical and prove that his reach has eclipsed any TV network or mainstream media outlet. It truly is the age of independent media and online influence. Don't you agree? As X transitions from simply a tweeting platform to a video platform, landing major content players like Carlson, we see it making a play to take market share from video content players like YouTube. Is Musk trying to turn it into the everything app? Don Lemon controversy. What exactly happened between these two and what was the fallout? We'll get to that in just a bit. Elon had a recent contentious first interview on X with former CNN journalist Don Lemon. Many were shocked when Musk invited Lemon onto the platform due to their differing political views. The much-hyped interview covered topics such as his recent run-in with President Trump, the 2024 election, freedom of speech and censorship on X. Don also challenged him on his views on DEI and tried to pressure him to agree that he is promoting racism on the platform by not censoring hate speech. He also discussed his belief that Musk enjoys white privilege. Musk shot back that hyper-obsessing on race only makes it worse and that we should treat people like individuals and that as long as the hate speech was not violent and was within the bounds of the law it should be allowed due to First Amendment rights. Lemon then continuously pressed him on his use of ketamine prescribed by a doctor, insinuating that he was unfit to have government security clearance and unfit to run several multi-billion-dollar corporations, in a strange attempt to malign people with mental health issues and paint him as a drug addict. Shortly after the contentious interview, Musk cancelled Lemon's show on the platform. This does not mean Lemon will not be allowed on the platform, it simply means he will no longer receive funding to produce the show from Musk and X. Lemon claimed it was not a gotcha interview, though that statement is very much debatable. Running for office? Musk has tried his best to stay neutral in politics despite his simultaneous foray into it. Is Musk making a play to make himself a global political figure? We'll get to that in just a bit. He has never formally endorsed anyone, but in his recent interview with Don Lemon he stated that he might endorse a candidate closer to the election. He also stated he would not make any donations and most likely would not even if he endorsed someone later. That brings to mind the question: is Elon setting up a run for office himself? He has spent the last few years bolstering his public profile, building an army of loyal followers and making a foray into controversial political issues. One can't help but think that maybe Musk is gearing himself up for a run for office. After all, there's still plenty of time until the presidential election. Or maybe as a running mate for President Trump. What party would he run under? Democrat, Republican, or a new third party? He's definitely not one to shy away from putting more things on his plate and is an avowed multitasker. What is the long play for Musk? Techno King of Mars. Presidential and political speculations about Musk aside, what if his ambitions are much greater than those of mere mortals? What if he is playing 4D chess while we are all playing checkers? We wouldn't be surprised if he wants to get humanity to Mars so he can have first mover advantage and crown himself Techno King of Mars and establish a technocratic government on the Red Planet, placing himself as the ruler. We all know about his grandfather on his mother's side, Joshua Haldeman, who was involved in the proliferation of the controversial technocratic movement. In fact, Musk may simply be honoring his ancestors' legacy and fulfilling their ambitions through his actions. But how would this government look like and run? Will it all be decision by AI? Some sort of blockchain voting system with no one in charge? Or is it all just a big joke, or a con? It's hard to tell with Elon, but as we continue to see progress with the SpaceX rockets, we can't help but think that at the very least he is serious about going to Mars. As far as the rest, time will tell. Conclusion. Well, there you have it. It seems like as Elon and his business ventures become bigger and more influential and intertwined with the government, engaging in politics becomes more valuable to him. Ultimately, Elon is a person that wields a great amount of power, and political influence is just another form of power. He also has his loyal army of followers and the X platform to serve as his loudspeaker. If you'd like to gain financial freedom and securely own your own cryptocurrency, please support this channel and click below to purchase a Trezor cold storage wallet and join Gemini, the world's most trusted exchange. If you're interested in this video and Elon's other business endeavors, click on the video above for another deep dive into his entrepreneurial journey. For all the latest Elon Musk news and Elon Musk related content, stay tuned to Elon Musk News Network, your #1 source for all things Elon Musk. Thanks and bye now.